In today's video we check out this desktop stand from Smallrig. Can this live up to expectations and solve an issue I've been trying to figure out for a while? A couple of weeks ago, the kind people at Smallrig reached out to me about this new desktop stand that they've launched. I took a look at it on the internet and was really interested in it, so I had another chat with them, and luckily they sent me a copy to try out. Now whilst this stand is super simple in concept, it actually looks perfect to address an issue that I've been trying to figure out for a while. More on that to come later. But also, it comes with something that you don't usually see supplied with this kind of stand. Let's go and take a look. So ultimately this product is a camera stand with a clamp at the bottom that enables you to attach it to something like a table or a desk or any flat surface with a protruding edge which is up to 5 centimeters or 2 inches thick. The main part of the stand is made up of 2 sections and you can use the locking mechanisms to tailor the height of the stand to your liking. At the lowest it's around 35.5 centimeters or 13 inches, and at its highest it goes up to 90 centimeters or around 33 inches. At the top of the stand it has a 1/4 inch thread onto which you could mount a camera or a light, but the kicker is it's also supplied with a small ball head which can be attached to the top of the stand and give you real flexibility over the kind of shot you can create if you put a camera on it, or how you might want to direct light should you put a light on it. And that's a real kicker. Out of the box with this product you're supplied with something which gives you real versatility, something where you're not just stuck creating straight ahead shots off the top of a stand or directing light in a single way. The ball head gives you real flexibility. You can tailor your shots. You can direct the light exactly how you want. The stand is also supplied with this light adapter, which will enable you to attach any kind of ring light or LED panel that requires that kind of connection. Ultimately, you get everything in the box that you're going to need to create a real myriad of shots. But before we get on to the use cases, let's go and check out the build quality of the stand. So, starting at the bottom, the wing nut that's used to tighten up the locking mechanism is made of a sturdy plastic and should last the test of time. Moving on, the screw mechanism and the plate are made of metal and they feel really sturdy. The actual clamp itself is also made of metal, which I believe is a form of aluminium, and inside it is padded with rubber, meaning that it should really grip onto whatever surface you wish to mount this to and create a very stable base for whatever you're going to put on top. Moving up the stand, the main section is comprised of these 2 aluminium tube sections. They feel really strong and sturdy. They're also coated in this matte black finish, meaning that they won't corrode over time, and also they don't fingerprint at all. The locking mechanisms used to extend and contract and ultimately lock these sections are these twist type. They are plastic but they are coated in rubber so they're easily gripped, and they do feel pretty strong. We'll have to see whether or not they last a test of time. I do always feel with this kind of locking mechanism that it could start to wobble and come a bit loose with more use, but at the moment they feel very solid. And finally at the top here we have the metal screw thread. This can be used to attach the ball head, light mount or potentially any other accessory you have which has a 1/4 inch screw thread. Moving on to the little ball head itself, whilst the chassis, the ball and the screw thread are made of metal, the locking mechanism and the actual plate underneath the screw thread are made of plastic. It feels pretty solid, but it'll be interesting to see how it bears up under load. And speaking of loading, the specifications for this product state that if you're using the stand alone without the ball head, then it should be capable of holding up to 10 kilos or 22 pounds worth of payload. When using the ball head, that maximum payload is actually reduced to 3 kilos or 6.6 pounds. That should though be plenty to hold a compact or mirrorless camera setup or even some kind of light. But it'll be interesting to see how well this bears up with a larger rig, something which is maybe a little more front heavy due to a lens being mounted to the front of a camera. We'll have to see. Overall, I'm really impressed with the quality of this stand so far, but let's go and see how it performs when in use. Right, well here we are at my desk because, well, this is probably where I'll use the desktop stand. And before we move on any further, one thing I want to make absolutely clear is that whilst Smallrig sent me this stand for free, I didn't have to pay for it. They are not actually paying me to make this review, so all thoughts and opinions of this are my own. Right, with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about use cases for this stand. My particular use case really revolves around the fact that when I am filming at my desk at the moment, I use my small tabletop tripod to hold my camera. I've reviewed that previously on this channel. Check it out above if interested. Something I've been thinking about is how I can create a more permanent mooring for a camera here at my desk. The tabletop tripod works just fine, but there are a few issues that really annoy me about it. For instance, I really struggle to get consistency between shoots because when you're putting a camera on it, you'll move the tripod, and I use my desk for other purposes, such as working from home, so I don't want it there all the time as it takes up some of the space. Trying to put it back exactly where it was previously and getting that consistency in shot is actually really difficult, so I really want to try and avoid that by having something that I don't need to move. Also, there's the fact then that I have to set it up each time that I want to use it. If I want to just sit down and quickly record a section of a video or maybe an entire piece of content, again, I'm setting up the tripod, I'm mounting the camera and making sure the shot looks good and then going from there. If I've got something I can just leave there and maybe even leave the camera on installed with a cloth covering it up to stop it getting dusty, then potentially I really reduce the time it takes me to set up for a shoot. I can just sit down and go. So let's get the stand set up and put a camera on it and see how it works. Okay, so as you can see, I've now got the stand mounted to my desk with my little Sony ZV-1 on top of it. And the one thing I will say is it really did feel like it got a secure connection to the desk when I was mounting it. It doesn't feel like it's going to slip or fall off at all. Now the little Sony ZV-1 is not really going to test this stand from a strength perspective. It's well within its payload limits of 3 kilos. The little Sony only actually weighs just under 300 grams or just over 10 ounces, so I expect it to have no issue with this camera at all. And it does feel secure. I don't have any fear that my camera is going to fall down and meet an untimely death. Okay, so let's move over there and see what the view from the camera looks like. Okay, so here's the view from the little Sony ZV-1, and I think it looks great. It's a little higher than the view from my tabletop tripod, but I think that's a good thing. It's not quite so up nose. As I said, the camera looks very secure, and I quite like this angle. Okay, so let's give the stand a little bit more of a test. Now I'm going to switch cameras to put my Sony a7 III on here, and that will have both the monitor and my shotgun mic assembly on top of it. That weighs a lot more. That comes in at just under 1.8 kilos or around 4 pounds. That should really get us to see whether or not this can hold a decent payload. Round and round. Okay, so now as you can see, I switched my cameras around. My Sony a7 III with the full assembly on top is now on the stand, and it's actually holding up really well. I'm really impressed that actually it can hold this kind of weight, especially considering how front heavy this assembly is with the lens on the front, with no issue at all. I was a bit concerned the little ball head might not be able to handle it, but at the moment I have no concerns. Let's go and check out the view from the camera. Okay, so I think the view from the camera looks excellent as well. This setup actually gives me a little bit more versatility with the wider angle lens on it, but it looks great. At the moment obviously it's capturing the light behind, which I wouldn't have there normally, but hey, I'm running a 2-camera setup, so it has to be. But anyway, as I said, this feels super sturdy. It really is holding up well under this kind of weight, so I'm very impressed with this little stand. And it just gives me so much more flexibility. The fact that I can have this now here at all times and potentially leave a camera on top of it, as I said earlier on, means that I should really have a much cleaner workflow if I want to just come down here and create something. No thinking about what I need to set up and going on from there. Brilliant. But let's have a think about some other use cases for this stand. What other things could I put on it other than a camera? And the options really are endless. Anything that I can put on a tripod, I can essentially put on here. So for instance, I could mount some lights on it. Let's test that out. Okay, so as you can see, I've actually altered my setup now. My camera's back on its tripod, and I've extended the stand up and put an LED panel light on top. This is my fuse reel light that I got from Kickstarter. It really is a super useful LED panel light, which comes with magnetic clips that you can attach to loads of different things. Let me know in the comments section below if you'd like me to review it in a future video. Now why I like this as a solution is the fact that I usually use this softbox light here to illuminate me while I'm at my desk recording. And the one thing that always happens is I get reflections in my glasses as this light points straight at me. If I can put a light higher up and angle it down, it potentially resolves some of those reflection issues. Let's take a look through the Sony a7 III to see what the picture looks like there. Okay, so this is a picture through the camera. It's back on its tripod as I said, and the LED panel light is mounted on the stand up here. And I really like this shot because I really don't have to worry about those reflection issues. It's casting a nice soft light down on me. It looks good. And it goes to show that a stand like this really can be versatile. So now I've used it for cameras and lighting. But theoretically, as I said, I can put anything with a thread onto it. So potentially I could mount a microphone onto it if I was in a situation where I wanted to have a microphone away from the camera. Or I could even put a field monitor onto it. Imagine a situation where I didn't want the field monitor on top of the camera, that was too far away, but I wanted to have a monitor closer. I could run a long cable between the monitor and the camera and have something that I can see in my line of sight. The options really are endless. One thing I'm really considering is whether or not actually I need to own 2 of these, one to put a camera on at a lower level and then one to put a light on, and have a permanent setup here at my desk where I literally need to just sit down, hit record, turn the light on, and off we go. Okay, in summary, I think that this stand is a great accessory for anybody who creates a lot of content at a desk or a table and want to create a somewhat permanent fixture for the camera or other accessories. Build-wise, it seems really solid. The only thing I'll watch over time are the locking mechanisms, as I mentioned earlier on, but at the moment they seem to perform perfectly, and I have absolute confidence that it will hold any of my camera rigs with no problems at all. And one thing I haven't mentioned so far is price. In the US, this will set you back about $32. In the UK, around £28. And I think that's really good value for money when you consider how usable and versatile this product is. And speaking of versatility, as I demonstrated, it can be used to hold camera rigs or lights, but you could also use it to hold microphones, field monitors, or even an auto cue. Realistically, you can take anything that's got that 1/4" thread. And another thing about it is that it's really light and compact. When folded down, it's under 50 centimeters or 20 inches long, and it only weighs in at 430 grams or around 15 ounces. And that means that you could take it with you where you're going. If you're traveling, you could throw it into a suitcase, and if you happen to want to create some content when you're away, you could just stick it onto a desk or some kind of table, and you're ready to go. And with the ball head, you have the versatility to create the shots that you want, or direct light in the way you want to do it. You can even extend it right up above a table and create a top-down shot. Whatever you want to do, it can do it, no worries. Overall, I think this is a fantastic piece of kit, and if you're interested in purchasing one, I've included links below to the US and UK Amazon stores, where you can go and check it out for yourself. Anyway, that's it for today's video, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you have any questions, comments or feedback, please leave them in the comments section below. And until next time, have a great day.